$7,400 for less than 200 visitors? $159 a click? $50,000 a lead? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, today's niche is a doozy. You've probably seen it on TV. In fact, this is a niche I was in over 20 years ago. The ending of that story wasn't so great. More about that in just a minute. Because this niche is still making money every single day. And I'm sure you've heard of it before. In fact, I just used AI to figure out some creative ways to get traffic for this, and the results blew me away. They were things I hadn't even thought of yet. But before we get started, I have a big disclaimer. The niche market you're about to see, the money it's making, and the results you're going to hear about are not typical, implied, or guaranteed. In fact, the vast majority of people trying to make money online, watching videos and buying courses and all of that stuff, make nothing. So it's very important that you treat this like a business. Also, I wouldn't recommend anyone go into this specific niche unless you know something about it or are willing to learn a lot about it. This is a very sensitive niche, so you want to treat it carefully. Now, on the bright side, what this niche market is going to do is reveal to you how money is made online in a very secret way that very few people talk about. This is exactly what puts billions of dollars into the pockets of companies like Google, Facebook, and countless others. I mean, yeah, everyone thinks it's all about ad revenue. But if ads are only paying a few cents a click, then how are these companies making hundreds of billions of dollars a year? More about that in just a minute. Because today's video is going to blow the lid off the entire industry so you can pull back the curtain and see exactly how and why money is made online, how you can build a business, and start taking advantage of this wonderful money-making opportunity we call the internet. So if you're excited to see the niche, smash a like button. Because today, nothing's held back. Come on, let's go to work. All right, let's get to it. Today's niche is quite a big one. As we showed you, there's $50,000 per lead, and it's getting like $159 a click for some keywords. Some are more, some are less. We're going to go through all the nitty-gritty, the nuts and bolts of how this works. But first, I wanted to bring up a little story of how I started in this niche. Back in the year 2003 or 2004, I think it was, I was going out there looking for different niches. I had many different websites all across different verticals, platforms, all kinds of stuff. We were making a pretty decent amount of money. And I came across this niche and I was like, okay, I can get a lot of free traffic for this one. And I did. I got thousands of visitors a month in this one. But back then we didn't have access to all the tools and the ad revenue places that we had today. I was trying to use Find What because AdSense was new, so it wasn't really tackling some of these niches. And on Find What, I was able to get a little bit of money, but it wasn't really worth my time. So later I just basically deleted the website and it went away. Fast forward a couple years, I find out that this is one of the highest paying niches in the world, so I'm kind of kicking myself in the butt. But back then, I really didn't know what I was doing. So, luckily I learned a lot of stuff and made a lot of money in different ways. So looking at this was really cool. And this is one where, yes, you can get traffic. We're going to show you. I actually have a ChatGPT open here where we're talking about different ways to get traffic in the niche and different things like that. Now, going through here, I wanted to show you a little ad that I saw on Facebook that I thought was kind of important. This is something where it was going for different like class action settlement type traffic, which is what this niche is in. It's actually a very big one, which is why I said be sensitive with it if you use it. But I would say for the vast majority of you guys watching this video, use this to learn how money is made online. Use this to learn about niches, because if you can understand that an ad like this on Facebook that can get traffic very, very cheap, or even, a free post on Facebook or whatever it is where you're giving people information about something, if you can teach them, this is like what Corey Rudel said back in the year 2000 when he was first teaching internet marketing before he passed. He used to say, educate, inform, and sell more, which means if you can educate your market, teach them something, inform them, you'll sell more stuff. So if I could teach people ways to fix their pool, they'll probably end up buying pool pumps or something like that from me. Or if I was a local business, obviously, if I gave them a free pool consult, they'd probably end up signing up with me. That's the educate, inform, and sell more, which basically makes people happy and teaches them things. Now, the same thing works with ads, although I'm not sure if Corey Rudel ever talked about this. But with advertisements, it came a long way from when he was teaching and when I first started. where ads actually trigger lots of money. So for example, let me show you how this would work. Let's say we have a niche like tax write-offs. And one of those tax write-offs, right? Let's say we could list 50 different tax write-offs people don't know about. If one of those tax write-offs happens to be something like donate a car, what happens is you have a much more expensive click. Let me show you exactly how this works so you can understand it. We're going to go over here to the SpyFu tool, and we're going to type in tax write-offs like this. Now, the word tax write-offs is not going to trigger that expensive of a click. I think we have to do it with the space. There we go. And we can see $1.55 a click. Now with this one, you're going to see on Google, there's not that many ads. So I don't think it's really triggering that much money. Now, by nature, tax write-offs have different things with them. You might be writing off a house, mortgage, interest, or something like that. And those are all tied to different things. If I can think, okay, mortgage, if I can get them to refi and drop their rate, that does tie into saving money. Okay, following with me? Smash the like button, let me know if you follow. So one of those things could be like refinance mortgage. Okay, maybe that'll help them with their write-off or something like that. Now we went from $1 to $8. Now, let me show you the doozy, because if we taught them, okay, if you have an old car you can donate car, you can see that donate car is triggering a $34 click. So see how we just went from tax write-off, which there's no ads, to something where there's a lot of ads. That's how this works. Educate, inform, sell more. I educated them on the tax write-off stuff. Now, the niche we're talking about today has nothing to do with tax write-offs. I just wanted you to see how that works, because an ad like this on Facebook that seemingly is just going out to everyone, although they do target people, now can get a much higher click. And what they did is they framed it different. So instead of saying, join a class action lawsuit, which people don't really want to click, what they're saying is there's unclaimed money in the form of these lawsuits that have this stuff. Okay, makes sense? Now, of course, this is a little different area talking about law stuff, so unless you're a lawyer, I wouldn't do something like this. However, I want you to understand the process, because there's a lot of processes you're going to learn in this video that are going to teach you how money is made online. Now, here is a YouTube channel that is in the niche we're going to talk about that is getting on average 2,600 views per day. Again, this is in a market that is paying a lot of money. Okay, very, very important. And I'll have all of the keywords, the notes, the ads, and everything over at gotniches.com so you can get them and follow along with the video once you watch it a second time, because I think this is important. Now, the niche we're talking about today is the mesothelioma law niche. This is a big class action niche that's been around for a long time, and there's a lot of money in it. Now, again, my big disclaimer, if you don't know about this market, if you're not a lawyer, if you're just trying to find a niche, look at other ones, but watch this entire video so you understand the process. This is about the process, not so much, here's a niche, go use it. Very important. That's what these videos are about here. Now, we want to make sure that that's there. And then we also want to look at the fact that when we're dealing with like $159 a click, I have never in my entire life, 25 years of doing this, been paid $159 for just a click. It had to result in a sale or something like that. I never got it for just a click. I think the most I got for one click alone without selling anything was like $9, okay? And that was pretty rare. The average is much lower. So take this with a grain of salt. It doesn't mean you're going to get one click a day and make $5,000 a month. It does not mean that. You might get nothing. You could even lose money. But I want you to understand that the money is here. The money is in the market. There's a lot of stuff. Like this one pays $50,000 a lead, but you could guess like, yeah, 50 grand. They're going to vet the lead. I think this one you have to like sign a thing and they have to sign up and order something, but it's all done over the phone. So it is technically a lead, but you have to look at this with a grain of salt and understand we're looking at the differences in the market and the money and how to get into them. Not so much like, yeah, 50 grand guaranteed, whatever. It doesn't work that way. Okay. So we got to understand it. Now with this, could he generate clicks and leads with this much traffic with a YouTube channel? Yes. Now, again, I believe the guy with this channel does happen to be a lawyer, so he knows about it. However, learn from this. There's a lot of money in these markets. If we could tackle one that fits with what we want to do, like for me, I probably wouldn't do the mesothelioma niche because it's just, there's so much stuff there. However, if there's someone that knows about it or dealt with it, that would be something that they could do. Now, going through here, again, all the stuff's going to be at gotniches.com. Let's take a look at the niche. So we have mesothelioma law niche, okay? Very cool. Now, another thing you could do is you could go to these lawyers and generate leads for them or do the marketing for them. They pay a fortune. Lawyer SEO is a huge, huge business. Huge. And with AI, it's going to get even bigger. Now, what is the niche? The niche is asbestos. Why is it dangerous? Because it hurts people, all of that stuff. It is a very bad kind of thing, but what we want to do is we want to talk about how people can get help with it. I was actually doing research on this niche and I found some infographics talking about like, oh, hey, where is this in the house? How do you know if you have it in the house? If you have popcorn ceiling, if you have this, that, or the other. Okay, so starting to look at this, we're like, okay, what's going on? Now we see that a lot of people that have exposure are looking for legal help, and there's billions in legal stuff going on. Now, why is this so profitable? It's so profitable because these law firms pay a ton of money. Whenever you have something like this, there are law firms that pay a lot of money. There are people out there that have websites that simply lead to the top class action suits that you can find, which is interesting, right? It's like, okay, all they are is like a directory site for these types of things, and they rake it in big time. Now, again, some of these are difficult. Like in this one, I would not do an info site because this is not something I know about. It's not something I'm willing to learn about. I mean, maybe down the line I could do something with it, but not so much, okay? Now, where does the traffic come from? A lot of times what you're going to have is organic search, like informational, symptoms, lawsuit process. What I would do if I was going to go in this niche is I would stick to the process of the law stuff, stay away from the health. So what I would do is I would say, okay, we have this niche here. There is a lot of money. What am I going to do? Well, I'm not going to talk about the health stuff because I'm not a doctor. Boom, get rid of that. Now, I could talk about the process, and I could talk about where it's at or how to detect the actual stuff. Like if you have this thing in your roof, that is this, here's what to do. That kind of thing I could do, which I think would be really good. And I really want to do these videos so that you see my process of thinking and you understand it. I could do paid ads. Again, that's going to be expensive, so I probably wouldn't do that. I could do videos explaining the legal process. That's what I would do. Skip the other one, skip the health stuff, just go to the process, like what kind of process. And I'll show you how AI really helped me do this. Now, you can get paid with calls, lead forms, and stuff like that. So let's go over here. Let's take a look at what this would look like. We have the law niche. We're going to go into monetization. You can do clicks, ads, lead forms, and even like a mailing list or something like that. Again, mailing list. I don't know if I'd do in this market. I'd probably let the company do the mailing list. That way I don't have to be responsible for the content or anything like that. So now going through this, what would our traffic methods be? I'm going to say SEO and social. And by social, I mean Pinterest, YouTube, whatever. And you could just talk about the news, right? Like you could go out there, you can find news about this. Oh, hey, here's this, Idaho law firm or whatever it is. Or even like, here's some new advancements or something like that. Again, stay away from health, stay away from the legal, just talk about the process or where it's at. So we could talk about this. You can interview people. You could do what to expect, state-by-state guide or whatever it is. Okay, lots of stuff like that. Now, I actually went through in my ChatGPT, and I'll show you what I asked it. And it was actually really good. I said, what are some non-health related angles I can use to get traffic for mesothelioma lawyers? It said, great question. Pat me on the back there, right? And then it said, here's some compensation, like how much is it worth? High settlements. That's interesting. So you could even do like reporting on the highest settlements. Okay, didn't think about that. How to maximize hidden fees and costs. That could be a good one. Timeline from filing to settlement, what to expect. Do you qualify, your rights? All different stuff like this. Very low barrier info stuff. Jobs, that would be an interesting one, right? This would be one where you could go through and talk about the jobs of, okay, what kind of things put you at risk? What should you do? I believe my grandpa, before he passed, he had one of the jobs that was at risk. And I think he was part of something like that. Didn't get much, but he was part of this stuff. And, you know, it's kind of an interesting thing where it's like, okay, there are jobs that did procure that. Like if you worked for Ford or whatever, and I don't know if Ford was one, but I'm just giving you an example. Maybe in their factory, they had some certain thing that was hurting people or whatever it is. Famous ships or buildings with known issues. This is actually pretty interesting stuff where, again, it's getting away from the health and just talking about, hey, what is this stuff? Very important that when you're doing marketing, I know a lot of people come to me and they're like, I want to be in the health niche. Like, don't touch it with a 10-foot pole. You're not a doctor. There's so many regulations. It's very difficult. When you look at Google and you look at their Your Money, Your Life policies, which is like, we highly regulate health content. We highly regulate money content, different things like that. If you can talk about those niches in a way where you're not giving advice, but you're more talking about like if I'm talking about what is the process for this lawsuit, not so much how do you get money today or here's the health claim, right? More talking like, oh, here's 100 jobs that have been known to do this. Obviously have a disclaimer and a disclosure, but understanding this in a different way, again, look at this as a teaching for the niche, right? Look at this as the process of, oh, now I understand how money is made, not necessarily I'm going to do this niche. So protecting families' finances, different things like this, selling a house. Okay, that's interesting. If you're selling a house with it, well, then maybe it had it. Maybe you would need to go put a claim in or something like that. History, support, advocacy groups, different things like this are very interesting. Now, again, what I did is I had it go through and get all the traffic here. I put the keywords in my program. So we're going to take a look at a couple of these here, but I put all the keywords over here. No, wait, where was it? One of these here. I think I had it in this one here where it's talking about the different things like how to prove it or near me selling a house. There's that one. And you can see there is a lot of traffic here for this. Now, again, we want to do very, very surface level stuff. I wouldn't want to dive too deep, or maybe you could even do like a directory of it or something like that. But again, look at this as this is how niche marketing works, because I thought this was an extreme example where you could see, oh, wow, there's a lot of money here. Maybe I can learn from this to do whatever niche I'm going into. And I'm going to show you another niche in this video that's similar, that has a high paying click, that's actually really easy to get into. Very simple, okay? So we could see here there's a lot of different things related to this, maybe like popcorn ceiling or even the timeline, right? You have this timeline one. Again, not that much traffic in it, but the competition's nothing. And, you know, you get a lot per click, so there you go. Now, we want to, again, I cannot stress this enough, compliance and sensitivity. Be sensitive. Be factual. Don't be exploitive with your content. Never offer legal advice. Just connect or inform about certain things. We're just passing people on to other stuff. Like, hey, here's the top jobs that have it. If you had one of these jobs, maybe go to this site to check it out. Stuff like that. Be clear, respectful, and privacy focused. Obviously, you don't want to go out there and collect leads or anything like that. That's why in this market, I would not do a mailing list. So looking at that is important. Now, let's take a look at monetization over here. So we're going to go through. We have clicks, ads. We have law firms, ad budgets. Always follow the rules. Otherwise, you won't get paid. And worse, you know, a lot of people online think that any influencer can say whatever they want. Freedom of speech. It is freedom of speech, but you're also responsible for what you say. I think our community, especially here in the United States, has missed this. They think freedom of speech means you can say whatever you want with no repercussions. Well, wrong. That's not what it's about. Freedom of speech is freedom to express your opinion in a good way that is not harming people, right? Now, when you come online, a lot of people think it's the same thing. Freedom of speech does not equate to a business, right? You can't just go talk bad about a business just because you feel like it. There are repercussions. You can be sued for that. I think a lot of people miss this because businesses are businesses, people are people, and freedom of speech is more or less about our opinions and our beliefs, not so much about business. I can't just say what I want and make money. Now, I know a lot of people do that, but we're going to see what happens with that. Sometimes it's a gray area. And in the world of influencer marketing, I think it's way out of whack. I think here on YouTube, everyone and their brother is like, you're going to get rich overnight. Just follow my videos. And it's like, that is harmful. It is difficult, right? We want to be honest about what people can do. We want to be honest about what does it look like? How does it work? And I think when it comes to online marketing, if you don't know, like if you don't know about this niche and you're not willing to spend a lot of time learning about it, then don't do it. Okay? Unless you're going to do a very tip of the iceberg, like here's a directory of maybe people you can contact if you're looking to start this lawsuit or whatever it is. Okay? Very important. Also, content must be medically and legally accurate. Okay? So for this one, don't touch the medical, don't touch the legal. Why? You ain't a doctor, you ain't a lawyer. Again, going back to the idea of freedom of speech and stuff like that, we do have freedom of speech, but you can't just say what you want and expect people to do that. And I think sometimes in, other areas like religious areas, you have known con artists knowingly saying bad things that are harming people. Is that good or should that be regulated? I don't know. Personally, I think there should be regulations on certain things, but understanding exactly where this stuff goes and what we're doing and where each thing fits in. It's not a free-for-all. You can't just make websites about whatever you want, say whatever you want, and all kinds of things like that. There are repercussions, and I think we're going to see that going forward, especially in the age of AI, where people are just posting like there's no tomorrow and they're not overseeing or not dealing with stuff. We want to do ethical, good, moral stuff and make it work. You can look at your top keywords and stuff like that. Again, I'll have a list of keywords you can take a look at. Here is the example of the TV one that, as far as traffic from Google, they're not getting that much. But if we were to go to SimilarWeb, so here we could see that they're actually not getting that much traffic on this one. Not sure where this data is coming from. I would have thought they would get more because I do see them on TV all the time. But, they're making enough to pay for TV ads, which is crazy. So looking at that, that's one that is more or less just a lead gen for these law type things. Now, again, taking a look at this, traffic methods would be social, SEO, Pinterest, YouTube. Competition level is pretty high for most of the stuff. Profit potential is really high. Now, the competition, again, it depends on the traffic you're going for. So here, that's pretty low competition. So I'm going to say competition's probably medium because some are high, some are low. Profit potential, very high. Audience size is kind of small to smaller, right? So pretty small. Growth trend, it's stable. Ease of entry, I'm going to say difficult because obviously you would want to know about this stuff, so you have to learn about it. Now, the average cost per click here, we're looking at like $159 a click. Estimated earnings per click. If I was going to do this, I would shoot for probably something like, let's say this guy's around $4 a click. If you were to average that out, the site that's on TV, he's around, I think this one's saying he's like at $100 a click or something like that if you do the math. But understanding this in a real world way, again, this is about teaching you what is out there. And there's a lot of niches like this over at gotniches.com. I'll have a list of the niches that pay a lot of money so that you can take a look at them and say, okay, well, what would be a backdoor to this? How can I provide information that would lead to this? If you didn't watch yesterday's video, watch it. We talked about this and how AI is getting into this realm of like, oh, what's this thing in my house? Oh, that could be asbestos. Did you know that this? Oh, yeah, it's been there for a while. And then eventually the AI would lead you to the expensive click. This is where it's going. This is why I want to do this video to show you. Now, there's lots of different ads and leads and things that we can do. Estimated cost per click, I'm going to say like $4, something like that. Affiliate offer quality, I'm going to go 2 because they're lead-based and some of those can be a pain. Direct path to profit, I'm going to say 3. List building, I'm going to say no, don't build a list in this one. Create your own product, no. Expansion, 2. Personal interest or passion, if you have it, it's a 5. That would be good. Now, again, if you don't know about the niche, either be willing to learn, be willing to go in there and do the stuff, or don't touch it, or maybe hire someone who does know about it, or something like that. Now, going through this, we can see exactly what's going on. This was the one that went through and did like the find the money in the lawsuit. We can also see lots of keywords for this, lots of things that are ranking, lots of money. Now, I wanted to show you another example so that you can see how this works in a niche where it's not so sensitive. If we were to go through and take a look at this one here, this one was for payment processors, and this is a niche that pays a lot. If we were to do something like merchant account, these pay a lot of money. And we could see here merchant accounts at like $22 a click. You can even do like high risk merchant account for people that are doing like digital products or whatever. High risk merchant account, now we're at $21. You can even do like different types of merchant accounts like digital or maybe even consulting merchant account or whatever it is. And you can find that there are lots of high paying clicks. Obviously we'd have to spell it right. But you can go through and find all these different merchant accounts for different things and really make content on that. I think this one here does really well. Let's see. I think that's one of the higher paying ones. Okay, it's not in there right now, but let's see what else we got. Merchant account, maybe singular. You can see $22. So you can see there are lots of money in these niches. And that's why I wanted to bring this one to your attention to show you, hey, there are niches out there we don't know about that lots of money is made. So bare minimum, we could go out there and help law firms with their SEO, or we could go out there and we could make a directory site, or we could go out there and educate people on stuff that's bad in their house. Like, oh, hey, if you have these kind of walls, chances are this is in them and here's what you can do. Again, don't talk about the health stuff. Don't talk about the law stuff. Don't talk about the stuff you don't know about. But, you can do this on a generic level. My advice would be learn from this niche to see, oh, hey, this is how I understand how markets are working and how there's money being made, and glean from it to maybe do something like the payment processor niche or something like that. And to show you an example of how this method works, let's say you wanted to go through and get people for credit line for business. What you can do is you can talk about business cash flow, or you could even do like credit line business or something like that. Some of these do show up, some don't. Let's see here, let's just do credit line, okay? If you're gonna do credit line for business, or even like business loan, you can see here there's a lot of money. And the way to get people into this would be maybe have a report on cash flow. Or one of the things that it said about the lawyer niche we talked about earlier was to create a calculator. Like, what can you expect? Oh, hey, this is how long I was exposed, or whatever it is. Something like that. Obviously, make it true, make it good, and get good disclaimers and stuff like that. But looking at this, business loan would be a good one. Business loan calculator, we could see that's got a lot as well. Now, some others we could do, which are super high paying, are like structured settlement loan, where people who have a settlement are going through and they want to get a loan for it or something like that. They want like a payoff kind of deal. We can also see like structured settlement buyer, factoring company, asset planning. These are markets that, even though they have very little traffic, there's a ton of money, right? We could see here, structured settlement buyer, $62 a click. We could see, let's do the next one, which would be asset planning. And again, I'll have a full list of these over at gotniches.com. And you can see $13 here. Invoice factoring. I don't even know what that is. Maybe they like help you find money in your business or something. Invoice factoring, $50 a click. Yeah, okay, interesting. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's a loan based on your invoices. Seems to be. And that's something you can do, like in invoice factoring calculator. I'll bet there's people looking that up. If we do something like Keyword Explorer, invoice factoring calculator, there you go. So there are people looking it up, 200, very easy competition. This is what we want to learn from this niche. Can we do things in a very good, very mellow way without stepping on toes, without going into niches we don't know about or things we shouldn't be talking about, and make a living? So let's go ahead and run this niche so I can show you how it works. I'm guessing it's going to give us a pretty bad score, but learn from this. Very important. I'm not saying everyone should go in this niche. Maybe if you're a lawyer or you dealt with that issue, maybe go for it. But for the vast majority, learn what I'm teaching you here. We can go through and see competition, okay, pay-per-click flip. We have this. So the niche score is 40%, which I would say, yes, nobody should do this. Learn from what I'm teaching you, not necessarily the niches. Go through, look for it. Can I do something like structured settlement? Can you go through and be like, okay, how would I find people that have a settlement and give them a calculator that would help them? That's the kind of thing we want to look at. And you could see that a lot of these are actually pretty low competition. And, you know, we could do a lot with them. You could see here interest rates, money, stuff like that, how matured structured settlement loan or things like that. I can even go through. What I was doing is using ChatGPT to find these. Now list some high payers in other niches. And we can see exactly what's going on out there and use this to our advantage. So we have like personal injury offshore. So this is more for lawyer. If you want to get away from the law stuff and just do simple, you could do this. Or even like car insurance. We talked about this yesterday where car insurance is a pretty big one. Like maybe you can find people that are looking for ways to save money and you can talk to them about car insurance, right? Think about like, if you see it on TV advertising, they probably have enough money to pay a lot for affiliate programs and ads. Use that. Maybe even technology, virtual servers, CRM software. This is a big one, right? This is like, you know, go high level. You know, you have Infusionsoft, ClickFunnels would be under CRM software, different things like that. And think, what can I do? Now, big takeaway from this video, don't use a niche you don't know about, like the law one. Go in and do something different, right? Can we go in and do like CRM software and say, what are some non-competitive contents I can make for CRM software? And it'll go through and it'll be like, okay, maybe you can get them when they're starting a business, or CRM for event planning or real estate, stuff like this. Like a lot of realtors probably don't have a CRM, or maybe they're just using the one that comes with their business. Maybe we can get them into one. And again, educate, inform, sell more. Educate them. How would a wedding photographer use a CRM? Good. Here's the top CRMs. Boom. That's where your ads are. That's where you get money. Understanding this is a big deal, and understanding how traffic works, how money is made, where it's coming from is key. So looking at this niche, I wanted to show you it as a good example. Again, look at it in terms of what you can provide, what you can do good, and how you can do it ethically and honestly, or just learn from it like, okay, there's a lot of money in other niches. How can I find different ways to get in there? So like going through and picking out the words like insulation, that's something I can talk about. Maybe you can do something for blue. Maybe that's like a certain type, or what does it look like, or anything that's like not stepping on toes. We wouldn't want to do like any of the symptoms or anything. We'd probably removal, I could probably do. Like how do you remove it? Obviously, you want to call a pro that's going to be able to do it in a good way. Different things like that would be good. And starting to understand, oh, this is how big niches and big money is made. So very important. Again, I can't stress enough. Don't go for words. If it's a maybe, don't do it. There's plenty of other niches that you can get into that would work really well. Far too many people try to do like the weight loss niche. And I remember years ago when I first got into marketing, there was this network marketing company called Sea Silver. And there were these people making bank promoting this thing. And they were like, oh, this is going to cure you of this, cure you of that. You can't do that. You're not a doctor. You can't go out there and say, hey, this is going to solve all your problems. Just buy it. And I think some of those people did get in hot water. So be careful with that. Obviously, don't say things that aren't true. Obviously, don't just expect AI to spit out things and make your life perfect, right? You got to fact check. You got to go through. You got to look at this stuff and do your due diligence. And if you're worried about that, pick a niche that's easy. Pick something simple. Maybe go through and talk about like different types of roof that has asbestos or something like that. Something very base level. Get a disclaimer, make it good. And I would say for the vast majority, don't go into this niche, but learn from what I showed you today. If you like these niche videos, make sure you smash the like button. Check out the videos in the description. For the entire lineup of the keywords and the other expensive niches, check out gotniches.com. Always be ethical, always be honest, always fact check your work, and only focus on giving people good stuff. Therein, you can make a good living and sleep well at night. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.